What's going on, everybody? Man, Eric Wilson in for the Sports Arena. Yes, on a Monday night alongside my brother Forks Up. He's a Sun Devil Jerry, ASU, Pitchfork Lunch. Mike Tenuto's in the building. What's up, brother? How are you?
This is from Pat's Run. Every Sun Devil knows, but everybody gets medals. And no, like I told you, I did not run the 4.2 miles because Eric, everything over 400 meters to me was always like, why? There's no reason. So anyway, yeah, medals from Pat's Run. I wanted to show you the this year's. It's crazy. It's the 20th year. 2004 when we did it the first year, and there's a little bit more space on the course. But man, there are thousands that show out. But look, we got the maroon and gold Pat's Run E is 42, and then I'm back. Everybody, this is bam, the man obviously gave up the NFL stuff. I know, but gave up the NFL life. Joined the Army. I mean, it was unfortunate. It was friendly fire, but like if you knew him. So plus I had to wear my medal because, I know we always tease like after 10, you and I have always said I've always said to you, I know after 10 kids, no, not everybody deserves a trophy. Before 10 years old, everybody deserves a trophy. But everybody that obviously comes across the line, there were vets there. This is insane. And they've done it before and I've seen it, but they're like all kinds of first responders, police and firefighters, but there are firefighters that do the 4.2 E in their freaking gear, tank on everything, man. And they're out there, but I mean, yeah, everything supports the Tillman Foundation. The Pat Tillman Foundation was like for scholars. And I mean, not that are just coming to ASU. I mean, there's Tillman Scholar Foundations that have been in the military and kids that have been like afforded breaks. And it's just awesome. So I know it's on our show, but I had to show you all the stuff. And yes,
man, brother, listen, anytime
I wore my medal all day today because I'm on my show. I was like, that's right, I'm wearing it.
Anytime we get to honor such a great man, I mean, a man who, like you said, paid the ultimate sacrifice. He gave up his career in the NFL for our freedom. You know what I mean? And so anytime we have the opportunity to give him his flowers, and rest in peace to Pat Tillman, because it's an incredible story. I can say I'm humbled and blessed to at least know the story. Right. You having been in Arizona, have a more personal touch to it. So, man, listen, anytime we get to do that, don't ever think like, oh, we call audible all day on that one. So,
no, I know. So I just wanted to obviously show off the garb and the gear, man. So,
and he wears a great.
How was your weekend, man?
Let me just say this: he wears a great number. Because that number is also synonymous. The two men that I associate the number 42 with are Pat Tillman and Jackie Robinson.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where that number I will forever associate. My weekend, man, it's crazy, Mike. Life has just kind of throwing a couple curveballs my way, but your brother's holding it down, doing what he does. It's just one of them things where, the saying is God never puts more on your plate than you can handle. There are some days, though, I ain't gonna lie, bro. I'm like, ooh, I might need to take a step back on this one. I have opened a couple bottles of wine this week. I needed it, but it's only Monday, so that should tell you. No, bro.
Well, no, it's only Monday. Opening them over the weekend is fine. To get to Monday, that's fine. You don't. Hey, come on, you're saying wine, and I'm Italian. Like, no, to get to Monday, that's fine. If you open up 3 or 4 more today, then I still support it. But yeah, that's a challenge.
No, I've been good today. Ask me on Thursday how things are. But man, we got a lot to talk about. And
yes, what a draft.
Listen, I'm gonna let everybody know tonight's conversation is simply this: it is the WNBA draft 2024, hosted by State Farms in New York. The Brooklyn Academy of Music, just such a great turnout. The only thing that was missing was the fact that we weren't in the building. You know what I mean? Like it was just crazy. But again, huge ups to the Commissioner Kathy Engelbert, what their entire staff is doing, and just the amount of attention that is being brought to women's sports. And I've said this over the last 5 years, and I'm gonna continually say it. All y'all that are just now getting on board, you might as well get to the back of the line, because I'm telling you right now, y'all are truly in for something special. But it's been something that Mike and myself and everybody affiliated with the Sports Arena has been trying to tell y'all, but y'all didn't want to listen till now. But that's just me. I'm gonna pull a Mike Tenuto. But I'm not bitter. Anyhow, listen, we can run down the list here, but just, of course, the names. Of course, you've got Caitlin Clark now in Indiana Fever. Yes, she was the number 1 pick overall, playing alongside Aaliyah Boston, last year's Rookie of the Year, and also number 1 pick. You've got, Mike, Cameron Brink staying on the West Coast.
Yep.
With the LA Sparks.
Coming down the I guess what, the 5?
Yeah.
The 5 goes from the 405 to 5. I mean, from San Diego to LA and go up. But yeah, I don't know them all. It's traffic. But yeah, so a very short flight down, which she was in New York, but a very short flight down from the beautiful facilities on the campus of Stanford.
And then also joining her is Rakia Jackson from Tennessee. 2 forwards coming in to the W of that rebuilding Sparks team that they've got going on. Shout out to the Queen of Hoop, our girl Megan. JC Sheldon, interesting pick, I will say, going to Dallas.
Yeah.
There was talk, I've seen all of social media, why Dallas went with JC Sheldon as opposed to going with this young lady, Aaliyah Edwards, who is now in our nation's capital, with the Washington Mystics, alongside Stephanie Dolson, who just got re-signed back to the Mystics.
Yep.
And then, of course, I got to talk about this. You've got Camila Cardozo and, of course, Angel Reese now playing in Chicago. And as Camila said in her interview, she said, ain't nobody getting shots with me and Angel on the floor. We just going to be getting rebounds all day. So
I was just about to say that to you. So, Eric, what do you think the first little spat in practice starts? And I'm not being funny. 'Cause again, it's practice, man. You can say it's your family, brothers, sisters. There's times like things go down, and if something's in the back of your mind, no. But look, I mean, it's crazy because, again, with not a ton of teams, when you see your drafts, like how can they end up with both? But
so we got a question already. Man, Anthony Brown.
I can tell you why. I can tell you.
Okay, well then, all right, Anthony, I'm gonna let Mike answer this one, and then Mike Patton, we're gonna get to you in a minute. Go ahead.
Well, look, Anthony. Look, we talked about it on the show. I mean, even when Megan was on, but when Eric and I were talking, after the national title game last week, we were talking. Me and Eric and Megan were talking about after the national title game, like the way Cardoso plays is, I mean, it is down low. Cameron Brink became a much better. I'm not saying that Cardoso, she improved her shooting because she knew going to the W at 6'4", 6'3", 6'4", that she wasn't, you're not, I mean, sure, she can go post up smaller guards, and there are a few of them if they're on her, as we know. But look, Cameron Brink's overall game, ball handling, what she can do down low. And look, Cardoso, not that she can't handle the ball, but she's going to get set up. Yes, can she create her own shot? I don't think to the level of Brink. And I think when you see obviously what the Sparks got with the second pick, it's no surprise that, and Cardoso is going to be, hitting it down low with some people trying to get, like we saw Eric, 13, 14, 15 boards a night, like she was able to do most of the season. And look, she doesn't have to score to be effective. And I'm not saying, Brink does when you say that about certain players, like while they're down low. I mean, Cardoso could literally control a game from getting those rebounds and even letting it be, quote unquote, which I think I've said to you in years past. To me, it's, every sport's got their stupid stats, Eric, but the team rebound to me, because if you and I box and our teammates box everybody out and the ball hits the floor and you pick it up, it's not a rebound for you. It's called a team rebound. Who gives a crap if it hit the floor? It's a rebound, right. Whatever. Anyway, that's off the subject of the awesome draft. But Cardoso can affect the game that way. I just think Brink, like we were even talking about 3 weeks ago, what she can do on the outside and how she fits into an offense. And yeah, I mean, she's not going to have the handles, of a true point guard, but just she can play that wing. She can play that flex, defensively. Who are you going to match her up with? Like you said, you have some, smaller guards. You're not going to put obviously a point guard on her. Most twos will be guard number. Still, you have a 5'8", 5'9", even a 6 foot. Two guardy. I mean, at 6'4", it's kind of like when Jason Kidd played bully ball. I mean, I'm not saying she's Jason, but it's she can still go down low and she has that post game. So, I mean, Megan called it too. I mean, it was, even before the trade with the Mercury, I was like, yeah, I hope they take LA. I was trying to put out in the universe, Eric. You remember LA needs to take Cardoso. But Phoenix made the trade, didn't matter anyway, and Brink's in LA,
Right.
like Megan said she would be and all that.
But for Brink, I mean, listen, averaging 14 points, 9 rebounds, and almost 2 assists a game. This girl is shooting 53%. It's one of those things where, to what you're saying, at 6'4", being a forward, she's going to be going up against what I like to call the true like enforcers, if you will. Because think about it like this. Now you playing up against the Sophie Cunninghams of the world and the Kalia Coppers of the world. You're going up against the Diamond Shields of the world. You know, you've got to play some of these the Chelsea Grays of the world. You know, you're going up against these women down low who Cameron is definitely going to feel that impact, but I think she is very much for the task. When I look at Cardoso, Camilla, you've got Dana Evans who's going to run the point. Right. Now you stick this tag team down at the back at the court, front court with Angel and Camilla. Now I'm telling you, like, it gives unless you Brittany Griner or maybe Dolson, right? Yo, you got to go in, or Asia. You got to go in against these women, and it's just going to be something that I'm really excited to see. Yeah, really quick before you go,
think of Angel Reese's game too. I mean, look, not that Cardoso can't shoot like from the free throw line in, but I mean, Angel Reese, look, she'll drive down low, she can hit those shots, but I mean, to me, she's got just a little bit more range, and not that Cardoso can't develop it, but for Brink, and you just made a great point there that I meant to when you said, if she's, their nights, if she's playing, she could play that 2-3 flex, depending on, like you said, defensively, you can match her up against the other teams too. You can match her up against the other team's 3. If it's maybe, I'm not going to say a smaller 4, but to some 4s as well, because of how she played. Like, look, do I think there was a wrong pick? But like Megan said, like when we were talking all, Pac-12, me, pounding the chest aside, as always. I know that shocks you, but that all aside, I mean, look, they both affect the game. I just think when in this day and age, of course, of shooting, Brink has that to her game. And at this point, yes, does it need to be a little more refined? Absolutely. There are all these rookies, like we've said, because of the talent, that all these rookies are going to have that nice, come to Jesus moment. Like, oh, wow. Like, yeah, and like I said with Caitlin Clark, will she score? Yes. Is there going to be some come to Jesus, like tough moments? Just like Diana Taurasi said. And
hold that thought on Caitlin, because I got part of what during the interview process, I got a little bit of what she said. I want to play that for everybody. But first, I want you to hear just some of what Brink said when she was being interviewed.
I love that I get to stay on the West Coast, and I love that they took a chance on me, and I feel like I'm just going to show that I can work really hard and help them a lot. But I'll still be close to family, which is really important for me. I would say I just want to continue the legacy of growing the sport, and I feel like I've said this a lot today, but we really have to look back at the women before us. And I know people keep saying that this is a historic draft class, but there were many, many talented draft classes before us. So I just want to give my props to the Dawn Staley, Cheryl Swoops, Lisa Leslie's, because, they're why I'm here, because I watched them growing up. And so I just hope that I can continue that legacy for younger girls.
Eric, I love everything she said, but we're starting a hashtag campaign. When you're shouting out people, Cheryl Miller goes in that shout.
Here he goes. There he goes.
You knew I was going to mention it. You knew it had me one time.
Right.
No, but no, I mean, look, everything she said, and they've said, I mean, it is true. It's, and again, what they grew up watching, and we're all, you and I, like, we're victims to it. Like,
we are.
I love, one of my best friends growing up, his son, was always LeBron. I mean, it's all he knew. And then one day I saw him with the George shirt, and I took a picture. I said, I just want you to, I go, next time you say LeBron, I want you to know what you're wearing. Remember what you're wearing. But no, but like it's, and look, they're 100% right. And in every sport, people think, oh, it's just, they're just saying the boring cliche thing. But those that understand the history and that respect it, any sport, I mean, obviously women's sports too, but football, basketball, baseball, it became this because of you're standing on shoulders of giants. And
Right.
I mean, literally, like but yeah, like Cameron, like, yeah, I mean, it's, like I say, getting her to see her play a few years here, coming through the Stanford train. And before we move on, I just want to give obviously a huge shout out. I know you saw this news too, but, and I didn't think she wanted to, because she seemed very energetic, always on the sidelines. But I think this whole, the whole ruining in the Pac-12 and Stanford going to the ACC with Cal, Tara Vonderveer retired, man, becomes all-time winningest coach. And again, it wasn't just about for her cheaply piling up wins, because, and not that Eric doesn't know, but like I said, being on the West Coast ever since she took over, I mean, my time at ASU, like, it was just like, you got to be kidding me. Like, she just builds and like, just not rebuilds, like not has to rebuild ever at all. I mean, it's like, what Gino turned UConn into, a Pat Summitt, like we talked about Tennessee. But shout out to Tara Vonderveer, because it was obviously a Hall of Fame career. And just, it is a bummer, because I just don't think that, again, not that they don't travel for out-of-conference games, but when a lot of your conference games, like you're in the Atlantic Coast Conference and you're literally right next door to the Pacific Ocean.
Right. No, and that's the thing that I looked at it too. And listen, I kid with you, and we all joke with you about, it's being the Pac-2 now and stuff like that. But I mean, real talk, when you see something like this, it really puts into perspective, how it is not beneficial to the athletes, nor is it beneficial to those who have supported and been a part of the Pac-12 for so long.
Oh yeah.
And for women's basketball in particularly to be at this level. And now it's like, it truly is a breakup, a relationship breakup. It's like, really? Finally, women's basketball is getting the recognition that they so justly deserve, and it's now it's like, okay, well, we're transitioning over here. Right. And I do, like, listen, when it comes to the football side of things or the basketball side of things, men's basketball side of things, let me just say this. Look, bro, y'all getting your flowers each and every week. So, I mean, I don't have as much love as I do for the Pac-12 for them. But with regards to women's basketball, you had the teams and you had the coaches who put everything they had into that game.
Yeah.
And we saw the product, whether we realized it now or we realized it in its inception. At some point, we really understood and had a working knowledge of it. Now to see that move on, and I mean, it happens in all sports. Teams go and they go. We've seen it in basketball, we've seen it in baseball, we've seen it in football, and I'm just like, I get it,
right?
But for something like this, that's why I'm just like, man, I'm like. But for, like you said, for Vonderveer to retire, I mean, it's the end of an era. She is right up there with the Pat Summits, with the Gino Ariemmas, with the Dawn Staleys, with the Kim Mulkeys. She's right up there with them.
I mean, because as a kid, like I said, I mean, in women's sports, I mean, there were really good coaches. And yes, there were men that were coaching, obviously, like Gino, that people say, oh, well, see, he's coaching, that's why they play better. Like, you had Pat Summitt, but when she landed that job at Stanford and just she became on the West Coast what they were, because I remember, like I said, being out here, and I think it was like probably like my freshman year in high school was the first time I went to an ASU Stanford women's game and saw her like on the sidelines, and I'm like, well, she'll probably be swooped up soon, just because, they want all the coaches on the other side of the great coaches on the other side of the map. But yeah, I mean, she was to the West Coast. And I mean, again, you obviously don't get to those wins. I mean, it's not rocket science, but, and you look at the success, and it's, sending athletes on, and a lot went and played, overseas and won, titles over there. But you look at her coaching tree, players that she had that played for her, the coach. I mean, Charlie Turner Thorne, longtime coach at ASU, played for her. I mean, was, and then, bounced around, was at NAU, and then got the job at Arizona State in 96. And I mean, was there till 2 years ago. But her tree in general, and players that have come back to like coach with her. And it's just, like I said, she was to the West Coast. I'll just, like I said, wrap it on that. She was to the West Coast with Gino and Pat, especially, I mean, even breaking ground back then to get people to at least watch those big games. But if not even just when they played each other, but when UConn played anybody or when Tennessee played anybody, if it was on, people will watch. People were more apt to watch, like you said, because, women's sports. Those games, I mean, they didn't get the numbers from the tournament that we know now, which are awesome. Those games got it. But she did that out west, too, for Stanford, like playing bigger games and this and that. And then when they finally would, not finally, but they would travel across and play UConn and play Tennessee. And it's like, okay, let's go. And
right.
that was, I mean, she not that it wasn't on the map, because there's been good West Coast, I mean, just coaches. And like you said, on the men's side, the flowers are there. So people will be like, okay, but what she did for the women's game. And look, I'm not trying to speak for her. I know I said in the beginning, I'm not saying it's fully because of the ACC, but I just think that, and I respect the fact she retired, a Cardinal. She was done because she probably could have taken, I'm sure some team. I mean, look, you see a coach like that. Oh, she's not there anymore. I mean, I'm sure the phone's still burning up.
I'm sure. Listen, if we see her on an NBA team as a assistant coach at some point, I will not be shocked or surprised. But for the moment, we just give her flowers. Thank you for everything that you've done.
Maybe the LA Sparks, bring her on and say, hey.
Possibly. And I say, hey, anything is possible.
Cameron Brink, hey.
I'm saying it just might work. But, going back really quick. Actually, you know what? Let's take a break. When we come back, I know there's something you want to touch on. And I do want to talk more WNBA draft. Ladies and gentlemen, Monday night, 10 p.m., y'all already know, on the NGBM TV network. It's the Sports Arena. Your man, Eric Wilson, alongside my brother, Mike Carrot-Tenuto. We'll be back in just a moment.
What's up, everyone? This is Chris Fontana, founder of Go Primal Lifestyle and Fitness Apparel and host of the Primal Mindset Show on NGBN TV. Coming to you from Long Island, New York, with the transformative show that shares inspiring stories of overcoming adversity and embracing personal growth. Hosted by me, who has triumphed over immense challenges, including addiction, mental health struggles, and significant weight loss. This show features conversations with individuals who have conquered their own obstacles. Through heartfelt discussions, the Primal Mindset offers hope, guidance, and inspiration to listeners, encouraging them to persevere and never settle. Join us on this empowering journey of resilience and transformation as we share the stories of incredible individuals who have embraced the power of the Primal Mindset. Join us on NGBN TV.
What's up? My name is Chris Rubio, and I'm the host of The Rubio Method on the NGBN TV network.
Focus. Focus up. Long snapping and life are very, very similar.
We have a great show that's going to educate you, inspire you, and most importantly, entertain you. I say most importantly because that's what I really want to do. And we're just kind of going on this journey together. And I'm going to make sure as we go on this journey together, you're going to have a good time while doing it. So check out The Rubio Method on NGBN TV.
And welcome back to the Sports Community. Man, Eric Wilson alongside Mike Carrot-Tenuto. Forks up. He's the Sun Devil Jerry, Arizona State University, baby. So, yeah, man, I know there's something you wanted to touch on, Mike. It happened earlier this week. We did lose somebody, and I just want to give you that opportunity, man, to just talk about it.
Well, yeah, I mean, because we were both. I mean, look, O.J. Simpson passed away, and I mean, you literally, it's always weird how when certain people are from different, like maybe walks of life pass away, but the cliches are so true. I mean, he played football, and it was like his life was like really a tale of two halves. I mean, look, before everything that happened, in 94 with, the trial, and obviously I'll still say alleged, because I learned that alleged because he was acquitted, alleged murders that he was accused for of Nicole Brown Simpson. Why am I forgetting? That's so terrible. But for his wife, obviously, Ron, pretty boy. That's which is terrible, but he was a pretty boy. Ron Goldman. Anyway, that being said, it's like it was crazy because I mean we saw. I mean, again, and everybody picks on us, called us old. Thank you, Anthony. Yes, Ron Goldman. I'm like, everybody calls us old, but it's like we didn't get to see O.J. Simpson play live. But I mean, and me, a nerd, like ESPN2, when every year the Heisman was coming up, they would go through certain things. I remember one year they showed O.J. and it's like, man, he played 2 years of JUCO ball, and then he went to SC and broke records in 2 years. I mean, back then, even though the teams were running a lot more, Eric, that's just insane. and he wins a Heisman Trophy, and he goes to the Bills, and he has a career, and then people, the 30 for 30 was insane on him. I will say this: I want to keep this short because I do want to get back to WNBA, but I just think it was the 30 for 30 was crazy because a lot of people called him, a sellout because when he started doing commercials, it's like, certain things in the contract, and they're like, you're not helping us, and he's like, he had his own, he beat it to his own drum, right, wrong, or indifferent. Then he's like, no, because I'm getting in here and it's going to lead to here. If they keep doing it, then and it's not like he was, doing the stuff for free, Eric. He was obviously a paid, figure and a paid endorser, obviously. But you look at the football career, and again, like I said, going back and getting to watch like full like games that he played at USC, full games and like the bigger games, and you see him in Buffalo. I mean, the first running back in a league that, you passed 2% of the time or 5% of the time up until, 1970-ish, Eric. So it's like in a league of that, he was the first 2,000-yard rusher. I mean, think about that. And he rushes for 2,000 yards. And then, okay, football ends, and the Hurts thing, and he's doing football games. And then come on, the Naked Gun series. Like when I saw he was in that, I was like, oh my, Leslie Nielsen's hilarious, but I'm like, OJ's in this. So yeah, of course I watched all, like, you see that. And I learned this today, E. This is crazy. He actually, I think it was James Cameron did the Terminator. He actually got offered the role for Terminator. And like he kept going out, and he said, he's like, no, he had done the Naked, he'd done, and we hadn't done just comedy movies. He'd done other movies. People can look it up. I don't need to go through his whole resume, but he had got offered the term. Imagine, again, to me look, Arnold was awesome, but I think OJ would have been money to, like, that's insane. And he had that life. He had that life, and like, his personal life. And then what happened after, that in 94, everybody saw. It was like, no matter what you were watching, like if you were watching it on, an ABC, NBC, any show, it like cut in to like watch the slow paced drive in LA. And then everybody, of course, making fun of people in California. Like, you're outside cheering for a guy. Like, and again, it was just crazy. And then the trial and the circus they made of it. And the first time cameras were truly let in, Judge Ito had approved it. And, did the prosecution or did the defense make a did they make it a kind of a circus, which they have to do? And he was that dude back in the day. Absolutely. Did they make it a circus? The prosecution, there were some things, but when he got acquitted, the one thing, and I remember talking to you about this. When we were back at the seminar, the one thing that annoyed me within it, after he got acquitted, is that how a lot of channels try to make it a racing, like every single, if you were black or if you were white, like if he was black, well, he didn't do it. That's why he got acquitted. If you were white, they're like, no, a lot of people try to make it even more of a racing. And I'm like, are you trying to make people despise OJ more or us despise each other more? That's the
I think what it was is, and for that time frame, and I'll give you my opinion from my perspective on it, because 94, listen, I'm a senior in high school when all this happens and the world stops. And it just so happens to be the month that I was born in, June of 94. So much was going on in my life at that time on a personal level, that this was just one of those things where I was like, the world, I won't say the world because I don't know how the world truly felt about the situation, but for the United States of America, every day people stopped what they were doing to watch what was going on in court. It didn't matter whether you were a janitor, a teacher, executive, a server, a bartender. When the trial was on, every TV, I truly believe court TV was founded.
That's the spawning of court TV. No, that was, they were like, wait, not every case is going to be this, but look at people just, again, right. The whole like,
we go back to the numbers, like we talk about this year's Final Four with the women, 21.4 million viewers. And then we look at that and it's like the birth of court TV was because of this case. And so for me, it was just one of those things where I didn't really embrace it, but I like everybody else.
You
and
couldn't
like
get
we say,
away. Like you said,
like,
anywhere you turned
it was a train wreck.
Yep.
You wanted to turn away, but you
Yeah.
had to see what was going to happen. And yes, clearly, listen, he was acquitted of the charges. There was a disruption in communities across the country because you had what they brought it down to. They took the athlete out of the picture. They no longer focused on him as an athlete. And this is one of those rare occasions where we are getting outside of what we are predominantly focused on, which is what we do, what they do on the field in the world of sports. With regard to this situation, though, it truly was a black and white thing. And that's how I saw it. And so it was an issue that it was, you had to pick a side. You truly had to pick a side. And if you picked the wrong side simply based on the color of your skin, then you were vilified for it.
Right.
And it was so crazy. And so, hey, shout out to our girl, Miss Ruth the Truth. Good to see you as always. But I'm just like,
well, no, and that's what they did. I think the media cut like the start of Core TV. And back then, with no social media and no, straight, literally like up to the minute, whether you send a tweet
exactly
or
breaking
Facebook
news or
anything.
whatever. Yes.
Anything with no social media. But it wasn't, and Eric, I was to expand on that too. Like it wasn't just driving it to make it black or white. The backfire is they literally drove it. Yeah, okay, make it that way. And like you said, pick a side, but they also did it with each community too.
Yeah.
Putting in red because every single, like, again, do I think if whether he was guilty or not, he got acquitted. But there were people in communities, in their own communities, fighting. And it's like, oh, they're just trying to be this or they're trying to be that. And people are sitting there that have known each other for, I don't know, 10 minutes or a long time, didn't matter, or yelling at each other. And it's like, oh, well, because, you work here, you work with, this person works with, somebody that's in, part of, in a black community and they're white or a white, black in a white community. It's like, you're trying to, there were factions. And again, didn't focus on it. But if you read between the lines, like, again, I'm freshman in college. And I remember being in the Memorial Union at ASU, Eric, when we heard the verdict was coming. Most people, you should have seen you should have seen the huddle at the MU.
And we didn't have phones.
Shit.
And we didn't have phones. So you had to find a TV.
Yeah. We were downstairs at the MU, big TV, every day it was on. And when the verdict finally came, it'd been like, it was almost like 3 weeks, whatever it was. But it was like everybody was just, and that's the thing that, they couldn't show on TV because, when the verdict's coming down, it's not like every local news station, they can only send cameras out to certain spots. So they can go get reaction afterwards. Our reaction, everybody's like, oh, wow. Not, oh, wow, because he's guilty. Everybody was in there was like, it was just kind of almost like we're shocked it's over, but we're shocked at the verdict.
Right.
Like it was like, because and look, I had professors. We went and talked to some of the law professors at the ASU Law School. Y'all had pagers.
Y'all had pages.
Yeah, that's fine.
Anthony Brown.
You can't operate. You couldn't have operated a page. You could have figured out
paging. We were paging the verdict to each other
on rotary phones. Yeah, try to use a rotary phone, Anthony. That's right. It's not called being old. It's called cultured, Anthony. Like Eric and I always say. No, I'm just kidding.
Y'all had pages.
It was one of those things where like nobody. Like they say, like people had so many mad reactions, but Eric, all those interviews, nobody knew when the verdict was going to come down. You're not going to sit at like, a college campus or, next to some businesses or whatever, or police and wait for you hear it's going to come down. You got to figure, okay, this is where we're going to go. But like that initial reaction, nobody was like, yelling at each other in the MU. We're just like, wow, like, yeah, the defense did their job. There were some things that were like, and the prosecution dropped the ball. And like, yeah, it was crazy. And like afterwards, that's what annoyed me the most. It's not wedges. Cause I'm like, I said in one of my classes, we were talking about it, one of my history classes.
Ruth is asking, do you think he was guilty, Mike?
They never.
Yes or no? Do you think, listen, it's been 30 years.
30 years. It's insane.
30 years, Mike. Do you think OJ was guilty?
I do. I've always said it like this, Ruth. Yes, I do think he was guilty. I'm not saying he did it. He personally was the hand that did it, but I think he had someone do it and was close in proximity when it happened. It's not even about a conspiracy theory. I just think from everything that went down and the whole dumb glove thing, and I mean, like you said, Eric, you couldn't turn anywhere. Even if you try to tune your brain out from it, you couldn't, because it was like, wow. So yeah, Ruth, I mean, I don't think he was. I think it would. So what? That would be, I guess, second degree murder if he was guilty, because I don't think he did it, but I think he definitely. I think he planned. He planned it. Helped plan it. Oh yeah, the TV series was insane. I mean, I watched. But the 30 for 30 before that, because I think it was a 2 or 3. I think it was a 2-parter at least. The 30 for 30 was. I mean, that was very eye opening. And Court TV, one of their first ever kind of reviewed things when they did that back, Eric. That was if any of our viewers haven't seen it, yes, always watch us on Mondays, but find the Court TV thing about the OJ trial. But yeah, I mean,
they just played it recently. It's so crazy because Court TV just replayed the OJ Simpson case, and then
the whole
shortly
trial
thereafter, they did. I think they did, because that's what Court TV does.
Right.
They might have replayed the whole trial, but it was shortly after that. Then he died, and I was just like, yeah, that's what really kind of blew my mind, because I was like, y'all just got done playing this one. To answer Ruth's question. Court TV, Ruth, I'm sure if you go to Court TV, you could probably find it. I mean, ESPN 30 for 30, I'm sure on OJ.
Yeah, there's a separate 30 for 30, but the investigative part with Court TV, I think, check the ESPN, because ESPN, not just the show that they were a part of, where ESPN, but I think it was on Netflix, the one on Netflix, but ESPN.
Oh yeah. I don't think it's on Netflix anymore. You got to look it up and find it.
Right.
But listen, let me answer the question, because we got to get back to WNBA. Here's what I will say in answer to the question. I have said this since 1994, and this is how I feel. And in 30 years, my mind has not changed. And again, rest in peace to Orenthal James Simpson. Your life is your life. You do you, boo-boo, as I always say. But in answer to the question directly, do I think he was guilty? Yes. But I completely agree with Mike. I think where he was in his life, he was not directly the perpetrator. I feel he basically took the rap for somebody else, knowing who he was and essentially what he could possibly get away with. And so that's how I'm going to leave it. We're going to take a 10-second break. When we come back, we're going back to the WNBA. All right, welcome back. Yes, back to the WNBA draft that happened just a few short hours ago. Your man Eric Wilson alongside my brother Mike Caratanudo. And again, as we know, the number one pick, we knew where she was going way before tonight.
What? Caitlin Clark went number 1? Whoa.
I know. Shocker, isn't it? Shocker. And then just a real quick, we're going to go over these again. Cameron Brink staying on the West Coast, the left coast with the LA Sparks, alongside with Rickea Jackson joining her. You've got JC Sheldon, Dallas Wings, Aaliyah Edwards to the Washington Mystics, and then Camila Cardozo and Angel Reese with the Chicago Sky. So someone who I know and I've worked with in the past, Annie Constable, is actually in Brooklyn. She was there live at the draft and had a chance to talk to Angel Reese, because she is the primary reporter for the Chicago Sky. And just her response to Annie talking about being coached by Teaspoon.
My conversations were great with Teaspoon. As you know, she was coached by Coach Mulkey, so I kind of thought like maybe I'll go there. And knowing like the conversations were so good, and she felt like a mother to me. Being able to be a Black woman and as a head coach and everything she's done at the NBA level, I just knew everything they were bringing to the table. Jeff, the GM, was amazing too, and player development is something that what I was looking for, and they looked for in me. So I'm super excited for this move, and I'm just looking forward to getting to Chicago.
Yeah. I mean, look, Angel Reese, and we talked about it even last year, so we know we're down that rabbit hole again, but like, the whole season, this villain, all the articles written this year, I know what Megan said last week. Was it more so Kim Mulkey? Like, the one thing about Kim Mulkey's players working them hard or not, like throughout the years, and even talking to not just, I'm talking to other coaches that I've been lucky enough to talk to that have known Kim Mulkey, like, everybody's got their style. It's not everybody's cup of tea, right? In recruiting, they're not going to yell at you, but you go to practices. That's why you take trips. You see how they run practices, but there isn't a player that Kim Mulkey, and I want to say these other coaches doesn't have their back of. So, look, I'm just happy for Angel Reese. I think it was right for her, to go. I don't think it had to do with Kim Mulkey. It had to do with the whole situation there. But is she ready to go? To overstate the obvious answer, yes. And yeah, I mean, playing for Spoon, like, come on. I mean, like, okay. Like, I don't think it's going to hurt.
And here's the thing that I'm most excited about. In the month of June, the Chicago Sky and Indiana Fever play each other 3 times just in the month of June alone. So those are going to be some serious matchups. But speaking of which, Mike, I got to ask you, I might need to borrow your couch for my birthday, possibly.
Oh, okay.
Because
well, no, you can get you can chill in the brand new free, thanks to the Screw Up Company for the neighbors next door. I told them I was giving a shout out. I got a nice free bed because they kept screwing up the delivery. So
there are 4 games in 3 days.
Holy crap!
That the Mercury are playing. Friday, June 28th. Shout out to my birthday.
3 games in 4 days.
3 games in 4 days.
You said 4 games in 3 days.
I'm sorry, 3 games.
I'm like, that'd be awesome.
They got a double header. I didn't tell you. So yeah, the 28th of June they got one, and then June 30th, of course, is the big matchup that's going to be sold out because it's going to be the Phoenix Mercury taking on the Indiana Fever, and then July 1st they have the Connecticut Sun. So I may take a trip out to Phoenix for those 4, just saying, and then turn around, come back 2 weeks later because we got the All-Star game. So,
just hit a lottery. Just saying, hit a lottery, and then you can just stay out here for the whole time between the time you get here and the All-Star game. I mean, and Kathy too. I better say that on there. I know I'll be getting a nice message. What I'm not allowed to come to.
Right, she already knows. She loves the game. So, all right, but let's get to Caitlin, because clearly this season is we are looking at the true emergence of, I'll say, damn near greatness with what Caitlin Clark, who she is and what she's able to do. And like I said last week here on the Sports Arena, I said, this is my version of Caitlin Clark. I said, if the Vanderquigs, Courtney Vandersloot and Allie Quigley had a child, it's Caitlin Clark because of her 3-point shooting and because of her court vision. Like what she is able to do, it's just going to bring, and already has brought, so much to the W. And I just want you to hear what she has talked about on this journey.
Who's your biggest rival going into the season?
Honestly, like, I don't really feel like I have a rival. I think the biggest thing is like the WNBA is so competitive right now. Every single time you step on the floor, it's going to be a rivalry. I think so many teams are loaded with so much talent, and this is the most competitive league in the entire world, less than 144 spots. So, you better bring it every single night. And I think that's exactly what I'm going to do. But I think that's exactly how I lived my college career too, is like every single game, no matter what the opponent was, I prepped the exact same way. I prepared the same way. I brought the same fire. I brought the same energy. And I think that's the biggest thing going into my WNBA career.
She's right. I mean, we've all talked about it. I mean, obviously they're very smart. They're talented players. I mean, they're smart. They get it. Like, and people say, well, it drives me crazy, the argument, because I know they've heard me say, like, people have on this show and on other, when I was doing radio, like saying you could be, if you were in the NBA, or if you could be in the NBA, you were 6'7" to 6'10", and people called you a quote unquote stiff, but you come in, play 12 to 15 minutes a night, pull down 8 to 10 boards, maybe block a few shots, score 6 to 8 points. Like you could have made a great living technically being quote unquote, a stiff, and then they're like, oh, so you're saying because there's too many teams that's watered down. I go, no, not now. It's obviously changed. You can't be that because people are coming off the bench and they're going to score on you and they're going to beat you up. So yes, it has evolved on the NBA side, but yeah, I mean, she knows it. And that's why I was saying that stuff you got to play defense and teams are going to figure out, all right, how we're going to guard you. I mean, you think, come on, man or woman, it doesn't matter. You're a competitor. If everybody's talking about me coming out like that, you think that the first time Kelsey Plum, who's in the top 3 all time in scoring in the NCAA too, or Sabrina Ionescu, who, was the 2000, 1000 member, on some screens and stuff, I'm not saying hard foul or push down, not like that, but you don't think they're going to step around and say, okay, let's see you hit this. You hit it. Cool. I'm going to tip my cap to you. Awesome. But when you miss a few, how do you come back from that? Obviously, I think Caitlin's got the right thing for that. I'm not a Caitlin Clark hater. People are like, oh, Caitlin. Just because I said on her show she's going to have to play defense, Eric, all of a sudden I'm a hater. Because nobody listens. Everybody listens to Jimmy. They don't hear Jimmy.
I was waiting on it. I was waiting on it.
Right.
We're going to get a shirt. Nobody listens. Nobody listens to Mike.
Right. Exactly. Real quickie, by the way, so obviously Golden State has a team, and I caught this at the end of the draft before we started. That's why I was, logging on when it was closer to showtime. But the Golden State Warriors team, the expansion team is obviously going to play there. They already have 6,000 season tickets sold for a team that doesn't play for another year. They got 6,000 season ticket holders. So when you were talking about that earlier, obviously attendance, people want to see Caitlin Clark, but I mean, you go through that whole first round and it's crazy. Like I said, Clark, Brink, Cardoso, Rakia Jackson, JC Sheldon real quick with Dallas. I know I'll be interested to see what Megan thinks of that, but even though she went to a terrible, terrible school that I don't know how they call it a learning institution, Eric, but she is a very talented player. At point guard, I think that's interesting because 5'10", again, not like crazy short, but I mean the speed, the quickness. I mean her dishing ability, the little bit that I watched of Ohio State, because anytime they're on, I know I have to pay attention, but it just anyway, whatever. You know how I feel, but I think that was an interesting pick. And then I'll say this to you, the young woman from that Atlanta took from Australia. I heard she's got 9 siblings, and they all play basketball. They're all, it's like a huge basketball family. So we got France, we got Australia, all in the first round, back-to-back French players taken. It's starting to go international. And and Eric, you and I have always agreed on this. Expansion has to come smartly. Yes, there are things that could have happened in the past that probably would have helped this expansion earlier, but this is where we're at. But you start to expand more. I mean, a player from the Netherlands was drafted in the 3rd round. I mean, the last round too. So that to me is we see the growth of it, and wanting, players from abroad wanting to come to the WNBA, obviously international players. The NBA is an international flavor game, which of course you can thank the 92 Dream Team, which had Patrick Ewing on it, and Michael Jordan as well. You can thank the 92 Dream Team for that. But anyway, look, inevitably, that was awesome to see. That's what I take from the draft. And Alyssa Peely going, not that I'm shocked she went in the 1st round. And again, Pac-12 homer. And of course, the Suns get charisma out of UCLA. But Alyssa Peely, her game, might not be the biggest, but or the tallest player. But man, I'm just telling you, she has no fear going down low. And her shot, her selection, and how she opens up the floor. Yeah. And then so her going in the 1st round too, I was like, yep, that's right. That is
Phoenix only had, I forgot, Phoenix only had 1 pick this
2 picks. No, 2, because they had 2 in the 3rd round. They had 25 and 29. They took Charisma Osborne, and then they took Jazz Shelley.
Jazz Shelley. Yes. Sorry.
Yeah. So but because of the trades, they only had they had the 3rd round picks, and that was it. So look, the fact that again, this is how, if you look. And again, I can easily tout it because it is Pac-12, and I've seen Charisma Osborne for the last 4 years. But Charisma Osborne sitting there in the third round. For people that watch, again, and a lot of people watch women's hoops, and like you said, if you haven't, well, you can get on the train, but believe me, we know we're keeping you in the back until you prove it.
Exactly.
But Charisma Osborne's there in the beginning of the third round. And again, it's not a shot. Again, not a shot at any. It's not like we're talking about who got snubbed from, an all-star game or an all-star selection. It's not a shot at all the players taken before her in the first 2 rounds. It's the point of Charisma Osborne sitting there to start the third round. Like, 3-point shooter, inside-outside game. Has no problem going to crash the boards if she has to. But again, her shooting got better every year, and that 3-point shot.
Okay, but again, Mike, that's like Kate Martin, who wasn't even sitting at one of the tables. She was up in with the fans supporting Caitlin Clark, and Holly Rowe was like, Kate Martin needs to get down here, and she got drafted to the 2-time defending champion Las Vegas Aces.
Yep.
Like, come on, man. Cut it out. Hey, really quick before we get out of here, we got about 6 minutes left here tonight. I just want you to hear Caitlin Clark talk about her journey and what she's, what the process of what she's had to go through, at least over the last 2 weeks, 2 months.
I think obviously the course of the last few weeks has been pretty insane in my life. The last 2 months, playing basketball as long as I possibly could in my college career, and then went home for a couple of days. I got off the plane when we landed in Iowa City. I drove directly back home, had my mom cook me a meal, and then I drove back to Iowa City the next day. We had our celebration, and then I flew to LA, flew to New York, and now I'm here sitting at the stage. But I think the biggest thing is, I'm just very lucky to be in this moment, and all these opportunities and these things, they're once in a lifetime. And when things might get, tiring, or, you have to do stuff, I think the biggest thing is to look at it as just like an opportunity. This isn't something everybody gets to do. It's once in a lifetime, and just trying to soak in every single experience, because I know how quick of a turnaround it is, and I have a lot of people helping me. And then obviously Aaliyah Boston, I mean, there's so much you can say about her. Rookie of the year, in my eyes, one of the best players in the league. And like I said, as a point guard, my biggest job is I'm just feeding Aaliyah the ball every single game. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go in there and be like, hey, go make a layup. She's going to make my life easy. But she's incredible. But the thing I love about her is she's just a great person. She loves the game. She knows the game. She supports the game. And she has a smile that affects a lot of people and brings a lot of joy to people when they watch her. So I can't wait to be her teammate again.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, this young woman is 22 years old. Just very, very dialed in and focused on carving her own path. And I know the conversation has been over the last couple of weeks, is she the greatest of all time? And the argument has been here or there. And as I say to you, and as you have educated me on, listen, is she the greatest of a generation? More than likely, probably yes. Are we officially in the Caitlin Clark era, if you will? Yeah. Because what she does and the attention she is bringing to women's sports, women's collegiate basketball, and now women's professional basketball, Indiana has sold out. They have numerous primetime games. The Las Vegas Aces, shout out to the 2-time defending champions. Their entire season is sold out. Yep. Okay? So, and Caitlin's not even on that team.
Yeah.
Let's just call it what it is. But for the 36 young women who were drafted tonight, congratulations. To the WNBA, congratulations. And to women athletes, congratulations. Because what we are on right now is truly a ride that should have jumped to hyperspace a long time ago. We just now got the Millennium Falcon to work so we can make that jump.
Well, Eric, you're going to make kids Google the Millennium Falcon. I mean, I appreciate it.
The easiest sentence in the world. Google it, okay? Because we ain't got time for it.
Eric,
2 minutes left before we get out of here. Go ahead, Mike.
Let me ask you this real quick, though, because we know now, and I know we touched on it, kind of were joking around a few weeks ago, but it got out. I mean, look, whether Caitlin Clark told her representatives, oh, thank you, but no. Look, man, the Ice Cube's big three, man, it's 12 games. And I know it's part of the WNBA season. But if you're Indiana and Caitlin Clark's like, I'm going to go make $5 million for 12 games. Like, how do you say no? You know, I mean, look, because if she would have went back to Iowa with NIL, she could have played because it's not like a pro league. I mean, it's a big three. She could have played, made $5 million on top of all her NIL this year. And again, I'm not saying that's what she's all about. I'm not calling her superficial or anything like that. Again, but if you're Indiana and I'm Caitlin Clark and I'm her agent and people we're talking about an adult conversation. I mean, do you say to the big three, okay, well, where are these games going to be? You need to schedule hers on, you know, an off day. And, you know, I'm sure the W would be like, oh, okay, Iowa plays in like, you know, Indiana plays in like 2 days.
All I'll say to you is this, Mike. I'll give it to you, and we're going to end this show like this. Here's my reason why she turned it down, and it's very simple. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to say goodnight before I end my segment here tonight, okay? Because it's very simple. Caitlin Clark, 6 words, Mike. For the love of the game. That's what it's about. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk to y'all next week. For Mike Carrottenuto and everybody affiliated with the Sports Arena, part of the NGBN TV network, your man Eric Wilson. Everybody stay blessed. He's a Sun Devil, Jerry. WNBA, man, get ready because come next month, it is on and popping. Get your popcorn ready. Subscribe to whoever your cable provider is, but just be prepared to watch some amazing basketball. And just remember, you heard it here 5 years ago first. That's all I want y'all to know. Anyhow, we'll talk to y'all later. Everybody stay blessed. Peace.